Nobody buys a puppy presuming it's going to go wrong, but the fact is, for millions of people all around the world, that's exactly what happens. This is Reggie, this is Bruno. They're both with me at my canine sanctuary and have been stuck in rescue centres for years with nobody wanting to give them forever homes. And at one point, they were both somebody's puppies. Puppies that had the best future laid out. But due to the mistakes that those owners made, they ended up in rescue centres at risk of euthanasia. And luckily enough, we're helping them become perfect canine companions. But in this video, I want to talk about the mistakes that people make every single day so that you can avoid making those mistakes as well and make sure that your dog doesn't receive the same fate as these. So the first mistake that people make when it comes to training their puppies is putting no emphasis on manners. They get their new puppy, they know the puppy's coming, they go, I need to train it. So I'll book in at a puppy training class on a Saturday morning for half an hour at a time for 6 weeks, and bing bang bosh, there's my training done. I'll learn some sit, I'll learn some recall, and I'll never need to worry about it. I'll have a perfect dog. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And the reality is that it doesn't matter if your dog knows 30 different tricks and speaks 7 different languages for each of those tricks. If they have bad manners, they're just miserable to be around. And that is exactly what happened with my mate Bruno here. He's super easy to train. His obedience is a doddle. He's really clever. He's got high food drive, so teaching him tricks is easy. The problem is, when we first brought him in and we had him up on this bridge, in this situation, he would have been diving all over my face, trying to chew my hat and my glasses off my face, mouthing at my hands and my arms, chewing on my clothes. No malice, no aggression whatsoever. That was just fun to him, and he had no manners and no respect of my personal space and my personal belongings. And that's exactly what we're working on right now. I'm just putting him in situations and teaching him that he has to follow my rules, boundaries and expectations, especially when it comes to manners. And when he does so, he can get this nice level of good boy. And I'm keeping those arousal levels low. But I would rather have a dog that's beautifully mannered with no obedience than a dog with world-class obedience that has no manners, especially because basic obedience is really easy to teach. All I really need from dogs for them to be perfect canine companions is a heel, is a sit, is a place, is a stay, is a BREAK command. Bit of a recall's nice. Outside of that, I don't really need any more obedience. If they can do those things for me, no matter what's going on around them, control their impulses and be a well-mannered dog, then they're going to be able to be a perfect canine companion. So the vast majority of my time is going to be spent with Bruno on helping him with his manners, helping him be a more polite dog, a nicer dog to take to places rather than an absolute menace to take to places. And when he displays those good manners like he's been doing so now, then I can give him his break command. Now he can run, now he can go and play. But the only way that he ever gets what he wants is by displaying good manners. And you should make sure that you're raising and training your dog to always display good manners, because I promise you, it's easier to get it right first time than wait for it to become a nightmare like it was with Bruno and then try and fix it, because that's exactly why he's been in and out of 5 different homes and been in rescue centres for years. It's not because he's aggressive, it's not because he's trying to kill things, it's simply because no one's ever taught him good manners. So a huge mistake that puppy owners make, and this is a mandatory part of my puppy training system for a reason, is not crate training their puppies. And I want you to think about it. When it comes to having a puppy, what things do people think about of where it could go wrong really easily? Most people think of, okay, toilet accidents all over my house. That's something that can go wrong really easily. Them destroying and chewing up all of my favourite pairs of shoes and the remote control for the TV, that could go wrong really easily. Them destroying my sofa, that could go wrong really easily. Separation anxiety, I don't want them crying and barking constantly every time I go out of the house, that could go wrong really easily. All of the things that go wrong with puppies in those early stages get fixed with crate training. Crate training makes toilet training go way, way easier because dogs are denning animals and they don't like to soil in their crate. So as long as you're giving them adequate toilet opportunities, utilizing a crate when you can't observe them makes toilet training way easier. Guess what they can't do if they're in their crate when you can't watch them? They can't be destroying your house and all your furniture and hard-earned possessions. If you want your dog to learn to settle, be relaxed, be calm and quiet when you're not with them or when you leave the house, best way to do it is to use crate training. You're not going to have the neighbours phoning up the local authority or the police complaining about the noise coming from your house. Crate training is so important. It's so game-changing to making puppy training way, way easier that I refuse to work with people here at my training centre with their puppies if they're not willing to crate train their dogs. And in all of my puppy training systems, crate training is a mandatory part of that system for the right reasons. Now again, my mate Reggie back here is been stuck in a rescue centre for years. When it comes to rehoming him is going to go way, way easier because of all the hard work I've put into crate training him, and as you can see, making him very, very happy and content to be in his crate. The transition of him into his new home will go way easier because of crate training. And if people would have crate trained him from the get-go, he might not have been displaying all the behaviours in the home that ended up in him being in a rescue centre in the first place and then getting stuck there year after year after year. Now, it's not crate training is a massive mistake, but by doing so, you prevent 99% of problem behaviours in the home with your puppy. Then the same can be said outside of the home. 99% of problem behaviours outside of the home, like pulling on the lead, like reactivity, like obsessive fixation type behaviours, all can get fixed or prevented with loose lead walking. So just like how crate training is a mandatory part of my training system, loose lead walking is the second mandatory part of my system. You absolutely should be putting a huge emphasis on having your dog walk nicely on a lead by your side from day one. Now, these guys are still working on it, and we're tuning them up constantly and improving on it as we go through their time with me. But little bits of training, little bits of fun obedience, and then little bits of pressure like that where I communicate, hey, you guys are pushing your boundaries, you're pushing those expectations, let me just dial those things back in, gets me to a point where I can walk them both beautifully on loose leads. Again, not paying attention, reminding them, bringing them back in. We're right at the advanced stages of this training now where we're just dialing things in. But this means that with crate training, I can transition them into their new home really effectively for everything inside the house. And then with loose lead walking, I can transition them into their new lives with everything outside of the house. And you can prevent having to fix problems just by getting it right first time round. So please, with your puppies, make sure you're putting a huge amount of emphasis on teaching nice loose lead walking from day one. Now guys, if you want to get your puppy training done perfectly and avoid the fate of my mate Reggie here, where he needs someone like me to come in and try and salvage it right at the last second, then you need to make sure that you're training your puppy with a plan in place and get it right from day one. I can't express enough how much easier having a perfect canine companion is if you just put the work in up front rather than waiting for it to go wrong and then trying to fix it afterwards. And to help you do that, that's exactly why I created my Perfect Puppy course. If you're interested in learning more about that Perfect Puppy course and to hear from some of the thousands of people that have used that course to achieve their perfect canine companion, all of that information is linked in the description box below alongside a special discount just for you guys for supporting the channel. And what's best is that the way I'm able to run my sanctuary completely free of charge and help dogs like my mate Reggie here that no one else will help is because it's funded entirely through the profits that we make from our courses on my online academy. So if you are interested in learning more about how you can have your perfect puppy and then support dogs like my mate Reggie here, again, the link will be in the description box below. But let's look at the next mistake that so many people make when it comes to training and raising their puppies. Now, another puppy training mistake that I see people make all the time with their dogs is teaching them useless obedience that they don't actually need, especially when your dog isn't perfect in all situations. Once you've got a dog that is absolutely perfect, has no behavior problems, is not causing you any issues whatsoever, then at that point, teach them whatever you want. I really don't care. But until you have that dog, don't waste your time and energy on teaching tricks that you never need to use. Spin, play dead, paw are irrelevant if your dog pulls like a freight train every single time you go out for a walk or jumps up everybody that they ever meet. For my mate Bruno here, all of the obedience that we've been doing in the entire month has been this: teaching him how to walk on a loose lead by my side, sit, so that when we meet people out in public, he doesn't jump up them. We've started to work on a bit of a down, just so that we can help him stay in relaxed positions to help his manners inside. We've worked on a place command, again, so that we can have him calm down whilst being a part of the family. And we've started working on some recall. Outside of that, I don't need him to know anything else. To keep him out of shelters and get him transitioned into a home long term, that's all the obedience he needs. He then just needs to be able to do those pieces of obedience no matter where he is or what situation he finds himself in. Because if he can do that, I can use that obedience to navigate him through any and all situations safely and under control. It would be a complete waste of my time and a disservice to him if, to make myself look good for some social media clips, I taught him some fancy, flashy pieces of obedience, but didn't spend the time working on his manners or his socialization or his arousal levels or his emotional and motivational states, which are all the reasons that don't look fancy on social media, but are the things that are keeping him in a rescue centre and people not wanting to adopt him long term. So we're focusing on those things that are going to help him become a perfect canine companion that will then allow him to be rehomed long term and find his perfect forever home. So don't make that mistake. Teach the basics, teach them well, and then focus on being a high level canine leader for your dog, so that they don't go down the road that my mate Bruno went down. Now, a massive mistake that people make when it comes to training their puppy, and this was definitely a mistake that was made with Bruno, is terrible socialization skills. Now, many people know that socialization is an important part of raising and training a perfect puppy, but there's a way in which it should be done, and then there's a way in which it can be done terribly, which is what happened with Bruno. When somebody just takes their dog to places, takes them everywhere, takes them anywhere, and just lets them run wild, run free, meet everybody, everybody greets them, everybody gives them treats, every dog plays with them, and they facilitate that as part of their puppy training, what happens is, as they grow up, they think that everybody that they meet is for them. They think that every dog that they meet is for them. Every dog is a plaything. Every person is there for them to greet them. And what it does is that every time they see somebody, every time they see another dog, it spikes their arousal and they get super excitable. They spin up. They lose control of themselves, their impulse control goes out the window, their obedience goes out the window, and then things take a nosedive from there, especially as they get older and start to enter into the teenage phase. Because what happens is, little puppy that was super cute and let her get away with murder and is meeting absolutely everybody that they see, is out on a walk. The 9-month-old, 10-month-old, 12-month-old version of that dog is on a walk, probably not walking nicely on a loose lead, is already pulling, sees another dog, is hyper conditioned to that other dog being a plaything for it. Arousal spins up. They want to go and play with the dog because they got so used to that that's what they do every time they see a dog, but the lead's stopping them from getting there. That barrier to them getting what they want becomes incredibly frustrating to the dog. And when you have a dog that's high arousal plus frustration, is a absolute guaranteed way to achieve reactivity with your dog. Even if your dog's not aggressive, that arousal plus frustration will overflow, and it will overflow with them spinning up on the lead, with them lunging towards the other dog, with them barking constantly, with them turning around and trying to chew up the lead, maybe even turning around and starting to snap at the thing or the person that's preventing them from doing what they want to do. And it is an absolute disaster. Same when they meet people. Every person that they meet, they want to jump up them. If you're pulling them back from jumping up them, they become frustrated. That frustration plus that arousal is a recipe for disaster. And I see it every single day in my behavior center and in my canine sanctuary. So yes, you should expose your puppy to lots of different environments. It's exactly what I'm working on with Bruno now, is I'm unpicking all of these bad habits that happened with him as a puppy. You expose them to these different environments, these different people, these different animals, but your goal is to expose them gradually whilst keeping arousal low, whilst keeping them calm and relaxed. Because what you want is a dog that sees things and just goes, I'm not bothered. I'm not scared of the thing, I've seen it 1,000 times. But I also know it's not for me. This person is for me. The only good things that come through my life come through this person. So no matter what's going on around me, I just kind of ignore those things because they don't mean anything. The only thing that means something to me is this person. So I stay chill, I focus on this person, and that allows you to have the monumentally huge amounts of success. So don't make those socialization mistakes with your puppy. Get it right first time, because it's way easier to get it right first time than to have to go through a behavior modification program like I'm trying to do with Bruno to reverse that arousal on a deep psychological, emotional and motivational state, to reset the playing field, to then allow us to try and make progress moving forward. So by avoiding those mistakes, guys, you avoid finding yourself in the position that the owners of Reggie found themselves in. They got a puppy, they didn't expect it to be as difficult as it was, they didn't set them or him up for success, and he's been stuck in a rescue for nearly 4 years because of it, until he's come here to my sanctuary. Please don't be that person. Nobody does this on purpose, but dogs end up in this position because the owners don't have a plan in place. So make sure you avoid those mistakes, but make sure that you follow a plan. And if you want to learn more about how I've helped thousands of people have perfect puppies, then the link to my Perfect Puppy course is listed in the description box below. And remember, that's exactly how we're able to help dogs like my mate Reggie. So we'll see you over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Good boy, come on.